San Jose Japantown has been here since 1890. It's a community filled with really interesting people and places. Let's go check it out. Welcome to Japantown. Right now we're in front of a store that I would call like a heritage store, and the reason for that is this particular store, there have been many generations that have operated it. And so let's go inside and let's check out Kogura Gifts. Tell us a little bit of history about your family as far as Kogura Gifts.
The family still operates in the same location as it did prior to World War II. I think that's something that Los Angeles and San Francisco cannot say, that they have a business still operating in the same location. And this is 1912, the building that we're in. This is what it looked like. It was during internment. The Cook family occupied the building and removed Kogura at the top and had trading post. Upon returning and my grandpa redoing the sign, he removed radio and put Kogura. I tell my kids that in the beginning this was like an Apple store because my grandpa sold RCA radio, which was on the sign. That's why we see radio. But in addition, at the very bottom, sewing machines. So he covered Singer sewing machines. Through the years it changed to appliances. In the 50s, my grandpa was reaching out to the broader community, and I believe that's why it said Oriental Arts, is to explain to others what gifts that were sold here. Kachikachis, you have the fans, you got the kind of fan that if you wanted to customize it yourself. Of course, Ojizu. I'd say 95% of the items are made in Japan, because you'll see a significant difference in price. Made in Taiwan versus made in Japan. It's wealth and good fortune for the home. We have the Daruma too. You start with the smallest one, and as the wishes come true, you raise it to larger ones, but you make your wish and you paint an eye. And when the wish comes true, you fill it in on the other eye. So if you come by Obon, you'll see that we got a new neon sign and new paint job. And come to the tempura booth. We'll be there cooking.
One of the most famous businesses in Japantown is Shuei-do Manju shop. What they sell are these Japanese pastries. Let's go watch them making it. Owners of Shuei-do, Tom and Judy Kumamoto.
Judy and I took over 35 years ago. Yozawa stayed on with us for about 5 months, teaching us how to make the manju, because Judy and I didn't know anything about making manju. So since then we've been on our own for 35 years. Manju is a Japanese pastry. It consists of either red azuki beans or baby lima beans as a filling. And the outside part is usually either mochiko, which is rice, sweet rice flour, or regular wheat flour. Right now we make about 17 different types. When we first started, Ozawa's was making us make close to 20, 21 different types. But we cut down to 17, 18 because those are the ones that are most popular.
What's the best way to eat manju?
Plain, or some people eat it with tea, hot tea, as a dessert, or some people just come in after lunch here and eat it as a snack. For the Buddhists, like funerals and stuff, they usually ask for white manju, which is red bean paste with the outside would be the white flour, wheat on the outside. They use that as an offering to the Buddha. And then a lot of people buy manju for tea ceremonies. Japanese language school graduation, they use same as the one in for the funeral, but we stamp it with something which is called the graduation stamp, and they usually order a white one and a pink one. Yeah, all our products made by hand. You know, we're in an area where it's really nice because it's a community that kind of stay together and help us out, patronize all the local businesses here. One in San Francisco, the last one closed last month. One in Sacramento, and then Fresno, and then Los Angeles. It's a dying art.
There are many historic sites and things to see in Japantown, and one of them is the home of Norm Mineta. Unfortunately, he recently passed, so you see the wreaths that have been placed. And right next door to the Mineta house is the Japanese American Museum. Let's go check that out. Today we have Rich Saito is a docent working today.
It actually started as the Japanese American Resource Center. people would have these artifacts, so they started dropping them off at the Issei Memorial Building. We outgrew that facility, so we applied for a historical grant. We matched the funds, and we constructed this facility. And it's dedicated as a museum for Japanese American history. It starts with the immigration. They didn't have any place to stay. He allowed the Japanese and Chinese immigrants to stay there, and that's formed the beginning of the Asian community here in North San Jose. The Japanese Americans came over here to be farm labor. We have farm equipment from Eichi Sakawe, and this area starts the beginning of World War II and the internment camps. 9066 authorized the government to incarcerate anybody who they feel was a threat. The Japanese Americans were put into horse stables up and down the West Coast. So they constructed internment camps surrounded by barbed wire guard towers. The Japanese were not allowed to leave those camps. They're basically a prison camp. We have a replica of a barracks room in the back created by our curator, Jimmy Yamaichi, who was a carpenter at Tule Lake. There's a panel called Resistance to Internment, and it talks about the constitutional and legal challenges to 9066. The area in the middle here talks about the Japanese Americans who served in the military during World War II. So they had to be put into a segregated all-Japanese fighting unit called 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Also, if you could speak English and Japanese, you served in the Military Intelligence Service, which is the translator unit. That's the only unit that was sent to the South Pacific. Everybody else went to the European theater. I invite you to come down. It's all authentic. There's nothing been recreated here. Each artifact tells a story about the history of Japanese Americans. There's basically something happening all the time. We have a rotating exhibit area in the back. We bring in guest speakers, book readings, field trip, people who go out and talk with school students at their site.
A school visit.
Talk to our events coordinator, schedule a day, and we'll arrange a docent to lead the tour for them. Our own dedicated website. If you want to become a member, then you have unlimited access to the museum.
Standing in front of the historic building called the Issei Memorial Building, which many people will call the IMB. And to tell us a little bit of the history of the IMB, again, Rich Saito.
This building was built by the Nishiura brothers in 1910. It's built by them because there was no medical facilities for Japanese Americans here in Japantown. Japanese Americans were not welcome at San Jose Hospital, so they designed and built as a medical facility. Currently, it's an office building, so it houses San Jose Taiko on the top, Tempur Asian Theater Scene, and Japantown Community Congress, and the Japanese American Citizens League on the ground floor. And it's got a wonderful backyard, so that if you want to have an event, it is available to rent. We have this three-sided historical stone that's in front of the Issei Memorial Building. It talks about their work history as farm labor. One side is a depiction of what it was like for the Japanese American immigrants when they came over. And then the third one talks about Japanese American history after World War II, when they had to recreate Japantown. As you can see, these benches have the names of the internment camps on them. So we also have on this telephone pole over here a replica of the Executive Order 9066 proclamation, which ordered Japanese Americans out of the Western Defense Zone. And this is what it would look like back in 1942 when it was posted and it notified the community that Japanese Americans had to evacuate. And it's interesting to note that that was posted May 23rd, 1942, and it was to be implemented on May 30th. 1 week. Japanese Americans had 1 week to get rid of their businesses, their homes, all of their property, pack up what they could just carry in their hands, and report to the gymnasium at San Jose State College.
Throughout Japantown, we have a lot of historical markers and plaques and things like that. To explain a little bit more about those, Rich will take it over.
So behind me is the spire, the timeline, and this is a visual representation of what it was like for Japanese Americans before and after Executive Order 9066. So the bottom part of the spire represents life going on. Japanese Americans are working hard and they're becoming successful. And then of course Pearl Harbor happens, FDR signs Executive Order 9066, and it orders the removal of all Japanese Americans, 120,000 of them off the West Coast. It disrupted their lives. And that's what the bend in the spire means. And you'll notice at the center of the bend is February 19th, 1942. That's when their lives changed. Their lives were disrupted. Over here, we have the Issei Memorial Stone, was the gift of, and it's a representation of the Issei, the first generation immigrants. Over here to my left is the Japanese American Values Wall. This is another granite wall, and there are Japanese American value statements engraved in that wall. You're going to see words like gaman, which means perseverance, shikatakanai, can't be helped, enyo, modesty, koromonohi, for the sake of the children. Each one of these phrases was an important part of maintaining and preserving Japanese American culture. We have these historical placards mounted on each of the corners. They talk about the history of Japanese Americans, and there's different periods on each corner.
Right now we're at JT Express, one of our newer businesses in Japantown. The owner, Steve Sakai.
We do, I guess, our version of Japanese dishes, Marianne's ice cream and Bubby's mochi ice cream. Those are the most popular things. We do a thing called a sushi burrito. It's really like a futomaki. It's a big roll. So
I know you wanted your business to be in Japantown. Why is that?
Felt like coming home. We were downtown by San Jose State for 15 years, and then about 5 years ago, we moved out. We moved here.
Well, I know you have ties with this area, and so I was wondering, what does Japantown mean to you?
I kind of grew up in this area. Well, I grew up in Rosemary Garden, but Japantown was kind of a place to be. It's a community, so that's why we wanted to be back here. We have a website. It's jtexpresssj.com. We do DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub.
So just outside of JT Express is what we call public art. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about this artwork?
It's done by Wooden Wave. I think the best thing to do is go on their website. It's a husband and wife team from Hawaii.
Walking around Japantown, you're going to see a lot of these artworks on the utility boxes, on the side of buildings. Sometimes you have to look up. You might not notice it when you first walk by, but you look around and you'll see artwork all over the place. And this is one of the great examples. And this is right next to JT Express.
Thank you.
One of the unique shops in Japantown is Ukulele Store. Let's go find out more about it. We're here with the owner of Ukulele Source, the owner Smiley Kai. And can you tell us a little bit about your shop?
Well, when we first started back 13 years ago, Herboto Jr., one of our friends from Hawaii, ukulele player, he's the one that really got us started because started helping them set up workshops and concerts, and people would ask me, where can I buy an ukulele? And at that time there was really nowhere where you could buy one. We opened the store, just ukuleles, that's all we carried.
Why do you think the ukulele is such a popular instrument?
I think a lot of it has to do with Jake Shimabukuro because he's probably the best well-known ukulele player in the world. We're the only one that I know that just sells ukuleles in California anyway. Maybe the United States. In our store here, because we don't carry any of the really low-end stuff, so ours start around $75 all the way up to $3,000. We have Kamaka, Koaloha, Kanalea, Kala, Ohana, Islander, Romero's, which I'm partners with Pepe Romero and the Romero Creation line. Let's see, Herb's been here, Herboto Jr., Dennis Kamakahi's been here, Daniel Ho, he comes by when he's in town, Brittany Paiva's been here. This is the best place for us to have a store. Everybody, they look out after each other. Everybody's real friendly towards each other. Visitors come to Japantown to visit the museum and other businesses, and then they'll stop by here.
One of the unique stores is Nikkei Traditions. Let's go inside and see if we can find the owner and find out more about this store. All right, here is the owner of Nikkei Traditions. This is Pam Yoshida. Pam, can you tell us a little bit about Nikkei Traditions?
Nikkei Traditions was founded in 2001. The theme of our store is contemporary Japanese American, Asian American arts and crafts. We feature products that are handmade by Asian American and Japanese American third, fourth, and fifth generation artists. So we have children's multicultural books, a lot of ethnic clothing, CDs, books, got a great variety of Asian themed socks, and just a lot of really fun products. We've got a lot of special products for Obon's festival, some that are really unique to any other store, but these are some of our handmade kanzashis, and this is an artist from Santa Cruz. She does a huge variety of just very large kanzashis that you can wear during the festival, just again, all handmade, so beautiful. And then we also carry uchiwas, some children's animal clackers, like the kachikachis that are used during the festival. I think this year we have frogs and ducks and ladybugs, but we also have some yukata for children and adults. So brought in some folding fans, some sensus that people use during the Obon Odori. We've got a web store at www.nikkeitraditions-sj.com. And to me, Japantown has always just felt like home, being able to relate with my identity.
In Japantown, we have a lot of these little specialty stores. One of them is called Zonkey. Let's go in and check it out. This is Not. He's the owner of Zonkey.
We went to Japan one year and we decided that, you know what, Japantown, San Jose needed a really nice toy store, unique store that can represent the culture. That's pretty much our reason why we came out here. We do toys, designer toys, unique toys you don't usually find at Toys R Us or any modern store or like Target or any of those. Specialize in horror, anime, pop culture, and just toys, designer toys, the art toys that you'll find in like museums and whatnot. The characters, we do Bear Bricks, we do horror, Pokemon, Dragon Balls, Naruto, anything that you would find on TV usually.
Anything that's kind of popular right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are people able to order your items online?
Absolutely. At ZonkeyToys.com.
Just outside of Zonkey Toys, there's a cool mural, and I was wondering, Not, if you could tell us a little bit about it.
Well, pretty much this is our childhood right here on this wall. Growing up, these characters right here, Godzilla, King Kong, Voltron, Ultraman, Mechagodzilla represents us as we were growing up. As you can see, they're playing Super Nintendo and they're just having a good time, and it's what the store is about. It's what Zonkey's about. It's just having a good time, reliving the good old memories as when you were a child and there was not a care in the world. It's pretty much what we have on the side of the wall to represent our store.
Who was the artist? Who was the artist for this?
It's a dear good friend of ours named Francisco, I mean. He's a local San Jose artist, does great work.
There's a lot of great restaurants in Japantown. One of my favorites is Minato Japanese Restaurant. Let's go see if they're open today. Hey Gene, we're doing a little video here on Japantown, and I wanted to get more information about your restaurant.
Oh, okay.
How long have you been in Japantown?
Restaurant opened in 1961. I've been here since 2000, so we're the oldest Japanese restaurant in San Jose.
What kind of special dishes do you have?
Mostly kind of actually Japanese American dishes, teriyaki. From Japan, tempura is good, but we have ribs, which I don't think anybody else has. Our sushi is limited, but it's pretty good. We get the highest quality we can find.
Yeah, I know this restaurant is very popular with a lot of bigwigs in the city, in the nation. A lot of Hawaiian musicians stop by.
Well, we just try to put the best product out. We're friendly, prices are right, so people seem to find us.
Great. So do you have a website?
Yes, we do. It's MinatoJapaneseRestaurant.com. You'll see our menu and pictures.
Are you also on social media? Instagram and Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
So next time you're in Japantown, come by, stop at Minato Restaurant. It's a great place to hang out. Everyone's very friendly. The food is great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Carol Rass, their family is also owners of one of the iconic businesses in Japantown. It's Roy's Coffee Shop. So can you tell us a little history about that?
So the Muratsuna family they were sharecroppers before the war. So they farmed out in the Evergreen area. They went down to Alviso, Berryessa. But then after when somehow my grandmother had heard that the corner here was for sale, when she was in camp and the family was in Gila. Her eldest daughter, Mary, who spoke English, and they came and bought the corner. The corner was a gas station. Well, before the war, it was owned by Doug Omori and Bill Yasukawa. And so after the war, it became Mike and Roy's. My dad ran it with his brother Mike and brother Joe, while two sisters and a brother ran a coffee shop next door, a diner called Tom and Mary's. And there's a family home in the back, which is where the family lived. It's a little small 2-bedroom. And then next door was the San Jose Tofu Shop. Pretty much what got the family started. It was the American dream. My dad retired in 1990 after we had the remediation finished for all the gas tanks. We went ahead and started planning the gas station to be turned into a coffee shop. But we were open in 2009. It was run by my family, kids, my daughter Jasmine. We now have a full-fledged espresso shop. We also serve musubi, so we kind of hybridize our fare too. It's roystation.com. Out of all the different names that we could have renamed it, it was always on the plans, the blueprints, the city rolls as Roy's Station, and so we just kept the name Roy's Station. It's maintaining a little bit of the Japantown's history.
Thank you for joining us on this little tour of San Jose, Japantown. We hope that you learned a few new exciting things and that you'll come and visit us soon. Until then, take care.